introduction. All right, happy Tuesday. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Mrs. Bangura. I am the college counselor, and I am very pleased to have worked with Ms. Harris, our alumni relations manager, to provide this college alumni panel for all of our students to hear from some recent alumni about the experiences that they are having at their respective institutions, colleges and universities. We're really excited to have them join us and share their experiences. We do have some guided questions to sort of lead the conversation, but there will be time at the end. If anyone has a question that they'd like to ask, please feel free, if you're joining us on Zoom, to go ahead and just put that in the chat, and I will be monitoring that and plug it in as that makes sense. For those of you who are in the Commons, Ms. Harris is there, and so feel free to have her add a question from the room in the chat, and we will manage those as well. To get us kicked off, I'd love if our panelists can just give us a really brief introduction. I'm going to go round robin, and I'll call folks based on how you are on my screen. Hopefully that's what folks are seeing in the Commons as well. But if you could just share your name, the year you graduated from St. Vitor, your current institution, and major. And once we get through that, we'll get into our topics for the day. Marcus, can you start us off?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Super fun to be here. I'm Marcus Laney. I graduated 2019. I'm at Purdue University studying mechanical engineering with minors in economics and intercultural communication. And I'm graduating next semester.
Awesome. Let's go to Christian.
What's up, everyone? My name is Christian Cruz. I graduated in 2018. I go to Marquette University, and I'm majoring in marketing and sales.
Awesome. How about Patti?
Hi, everyone. I'm Patti Miller. I graduated in 2019. I currently attend the University of Notre Dame, and I'm majoring in biochemistry and minoring in compassionate care and medicine.
Kate?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Capra. I am a junior at Lewis University studying biology and hoping to go off into physical therapy.
Awesome. Ryan?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Springer. I graduated from Vitor in 2018. I'm currently at Bradley University. I'm working towards my computer science major with a game tech focus.
Miranda?
Hi, I'm Miranda Devaney. I graduated from Vitor in 2018, and I actually just graduated this December from St. Norbert College with a marketing business major.
Awesome. Mary Beth?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Beth Hanson. I graduated in 2019, and I am a junior at Miami University in Ohio, double majoring in finance and accounting.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Grace. Or is this a Grace? This is not Grace Castellis. Am I saying that correctly? All right. Well, maybe Grace will join us in a little bit and had to run and grab a sip of water. All right, so first question, and we're just going to popcorn it. So as you feel inspired to respond, alumni, please just go ahead and do so. Can you tell us a little bit about your college decision-making process in high school? A lot of our students joining us are juniors and seniors, and they are in the thick of it. So I think this will be really great for them to hear about.
I guess I'll start us off. For me, when I was deciding what college to go to, it was mainly just, what was the cheapest, what was like, where can I realistically go? What do I want to do? Like, it was mainly just how could I physically go there and what would be the most realistic way to do so. So that's all like different decisions I had to, and also what I wanted to learn, what I wanted to do. That's one of the major things that helped me pick from tens of dozens of colleges down to like 2 or 3 and then just picking between them.
Great.
Yeah, I think for me, I was pretty fortunate. I'm the youngest of 4. So my mom kind of had a little like system broken down on how we approached it. Basically, I looked at like small, medium, and large schools. And then I focused in on medium for me personally, but I did still apply to one small and one large just in case. And then kind of from there, I made sure that the schools that I was applying to were one I was realistically able to get into, and then had a direct business program. Depending upon your major, I think that's really important, especially if you want to do nursing. A lot of schools don't have direct programs, which can mean your freshman and sophomore year are pretty intense because it's all about focusing on getting into the program. For me, I did not want to worry about that with a business school. So I wanted to make sure I could get in somewhere direct. And then distance is always huge too. I didn't want to be a plane ride away.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what they want to do immediately, just heads up, that's okay. You don't have to know immediately what you want to do or what major you want to select. You can go in undecided and figure that out. Like, it's perfectly fine.
I have a quick follow-up question based on a lot of the things that you shared. Can you all share maybe a little bit about like, when did you make the final decision about where you were going to go? If you think about like, what month I made that decision?
I did mine the last day possible. I think the decision deadline, I think was what, the 1st of May,
1st.
something like that. Yeah, I was the last day of April. Because I was so back and forth. To piggyback off of the distance thing that got brought up is, I know like at the beginning that I didn't want to go away. I'm very close to my family and my job and everything. But at the time, the college counselor that was there, you know, she had a meeting and everything, walked in there. She kept pushing me to go away. I felt like there's a lot of people around me pushing me, try to go away. It would be great. I went to St. Norbert's for a semester and then came home. So let that be a lesson of, you know who you are and you know who you like and what you want to do. So don't feel pressured to do what you want.
Yeah.
For me, it was when I got the scholarship money. It was like, here's the scholarships. Okay.
That also helps.
Yes, very much so.
Marcus, were you going to chime in?
Yeah, I think an important part of it is not to feel pressure to go to a prestigious school. That's something like, I mean, I definitely got caught up in like applying to a lot of reach schools senior year, and you really want something that's going to actually align with where you want to go. Like MB brought up a great point about the size. That's not something I had at all considered when I was in high school. I thought I wanted like a small school, like under 5,000. I actually go to a school that's 50,000 people right now, and I've absolutely loved it. And that's something that I wish I considered more about. Like, do they have the program? For example, Purdue has what's called first year engineering, where you don't actually even choose your engineering major until your second year. And that's something that like I had no idea what engineering I wanted to do when I went in, and it was really helpful to actually figure it out. So between that and then going to schools that had the opportunities that you want, like whether it's the clubs, activities, network, those are all going to be a lot more important than, you know, shipping yourself off to the East Coast so you can say that you went to a good school, because your whole goal is what you're going to do after college. You don't want to really peak in college.
That's great advice. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the fun that you all are having. What's been your favorite part so far about your current undergraduate experience?
I can go. I would definitely say definitely the most fun I'm having is enjoying the city that's around me. Marquette being the heart of downtown Milwaukee, there is endless opportunities, whether it's for your job, career, but also the amount of fun that's around and available to you, whether it's Summerfest, Bucks games, Marquette games, even hitting downtown every now and then. There's so many things for you to do, and it's being able to take advantage of the location that you're in. And that's something definitely I considered. Whether you're going to like a college town where it might be like 40, 50,000, but that's kind of just it. Some people wanted to do that versus choosing a city school, like a city school in Chicago, but mine is Milwaukee. So.
Kind of going off of that, I go to Notre Dame, so it's in South Bend, which is not a super great area. There's not a whole lot to do, and there's not like a ton of like job opportunities. But for me, my favorite part has really been the opportunities that the University of Notre Dame offers. And I think there's something like, I do feel a lot like, oh, I wish I was in a city, but I think that the other side of the coin is like, I do think about being in a city a lot, but people tend to like at Notre Dame stay on campus. Everybody has to live on campus for 3 years. And honestly, I think a lot of people would choose to anyway. There's not a whole lot of safe housing or good places to live. And the thing that's awesome about Notre Dame is how close you get to the people that you live with, like freshman year, and you live with them till like junior year. Most people stay in their same dorm. So I think like how close like the community is on campus. And my major is really small. I'm in like biochem. There's only 25 kids in it. And I know all of them very personally. We're really, really good friends. And we've all just, everyone that I've been friends with, I've pretty much like carried on the community since like my freshman year. So I'm really grateful for that. I think that just like being close to everyone, it's been nice.
I can agree with that. At Lewis, we're a small school in general, but then as you get into like, your higher level courses, those classes get smaller. And chances are those are the same kids you've been with since freshman year, especially when you're going into that like pre-med kind of track. So it's being able to grow up with these kids and find who you are as a person and learn and grow as an individual. And it's this, we only have a couple professors too. So it's the same professors you're taking over and over and over again. And they get to help you and give their advice in the field. And like I said, going into like pre-med situations, one of my favorite professors was head of the surgical board at Loyola. So she brought so much knowledge back of like, yeah, I witnessed X, Y, and Z and how this happened. But it's that close community too between the professors and the students as well.
Right. That's a great segue around community. So much of college is what you do in the classroom, but you really want to balance that by what you're doing outside of the classroom. Can some of you share a little bit about what your favorite club or sport or activity has been on your campus?
I'll start this one off. My favorite club that I was part of was our campus's environmental club. I'm very passionate about sustainability, and so finding a club with people that aligned with my views and passions was really important for me to find. It's a tiny club, it's a tiny school that I'm at. The club's probably like 10, 15 people. But I got a chance to be president of the club this fall semester and ran like a thrifting event on campus where people donated old clothes, and then we resold things for college prices, $1 or $2 per item, to raise money for the club. And it was just really fun to get to teach people things that I've learned and then learn from other people, guest speakers and whatnot. It's definitely, and a part of it too is the club was kind of dying out a little bit. So being able to see something you're passionate about and then go for it. I've never ran any sort of leadership position of a club, but I was like, I'm passionate about this. I know I can do it. So I ran for president and got it. So I'd encourage and everyone to really go for what you're passionate about and start it up if it doesn't exist already.
Yeah, I can chime in really quick too. So I, first semester freshman year, joined a business fraternity, which for business majors, I mean, depending upon some allow non-business majors too. I like totally recommend it. It has completely changed my experience with my major. And then I also joined a Greek social sorority that I was the treasurer of. It was just a lot. I definitely will totally admit college is fun, but it can be really overwhelming, especially when you do incorporate a lot of extracurriculars, because you have to do it all in order, is kind of the status quo now. You got to be involved in so much, and it can be really stressful. So I think for me, being with a group and an organization that is social but also very like-minded in terms of study habits and majors really kind of helped me get through those really stressful times and delegate and be a resource, both mentally and then also socially. So I think making sure you join an organization that you can collaborate with socially, but also kind of gets what you're going through and understands your homework pace is definitely a plus. I'd recommend.
I can agree with the whole kind of like almost, what were you saying, like relaxation kind of situation where like it's a stress break. Does that make sense? When I was up at Norbert's, like Miranda, there was a knitting club, and I've been knitting for 12 years. So it was, for me, it's a hobby. So it was a nice group that everyone came together. It was Monday night at 6:00 every week. And we sat in the lounge and we all had the same hobby. We talked about, we were able to talk about classes, and it was just a dedicated time to like take a moment, slow down from class, and then pick it back up in an hour, but this hour is yours.
Christian, I know you've been dying to jump in, and then we'll move on.
So yeah, I'm also a business major, and kind of like what Mary Beth was saying, finding a club or activity that, number one, you genuinely enjoy, but you also see yourself growth in, is really huge. For me, some of the things I joined was Camp Kesem, which is a nonprofit, and we fundraise so we can provide a week free of camp for kids whose parents have been affected by cancer. And that's something I was super passionate about. But a lot of my passions were also growing in the business world. And that meant getting different jobs while also being a student and having a few jobs at one time even. But one of the things I do currently, it's my third season working with the Milwaukee Bucks. And with that, it's super exciting in the sense that I'm able to integrate different marketing aspects and learn. But in the end of the day, I'm getting paid to watch and be a part of a basketball game, something that is fun and that you're benefiting from. And when you find something that you really enjoy and are passionate about, and you realize that you're growing in that sense too, it's no longer an activity or a chore or a job or something that is already just part of your schedule, and that you really don't want to, take away from it, in a sense that it's just kind of there and it's something that you enjoy and will grow in as well.
So Christian and Mary Beth both hit on this idea of, right, college offers a lot of fun things to do, a lot of things that really enrich and supplement your academic experiences, but that makes you really busy. And so how are you all finding the balance between your academic work, wanting to be involved, internships and or working like jobs to get you real world experience, and like the social aspect of college?
I think it's really important to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All you, Miranda, take it away.
I just have a quick comment that I don't know how I went to high school at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then extracurriculars. I wasn't even in sports, but people who did sports after, and then you have homework when you get home. College is so much easier. It seems like a lot that you have to figure out, whether internships, school, homework, and that will depend on your major too, but it's so easy, like 4 classes a day max, usually like 1 or 2 though. So I would not stress about this. You will figure this out is my word of advice.
I think it's really important to go in with the vision of like, why are you doing what you're doing? Because when you're in high school, like you have to take those 8 classes. You get to be at college, versus at high school, you have to be at. And so kind of figuring out, like, it's like I was president of a club while I had a job and was taking mechanical engineering classes. And it's all manageable because I knew like that was going to prepare me for my professional career. And when you're still able to fit in time to make friends, have a lot of fun, meet some great people at campus, but you just have to figure out like, why are you doing something? So it kind of goes back to the clubs. Is in high school, I did feel like I was in a few clubs just to pack the resume and make it look to colleges that I was, very involved. But when you're in college, you get to actually do things that you want to do. So like my strategy was I went to over 50 different clubs the first month of school trying to figure out like what I was into. And I landed on the 5 that I liked the most. And it ranged from like mechanical engineering club that I was president of all the way to the tango club. And it's just a great way to kind of figure out your interests. And you're going to be able to find out what's really most important to you and what are you getting out of it. And then you're going to have no problem managing your time.
So I think the takeaway for our seniors in particular is when you get to your institution in the fall in that first week of classes and they have club days, you should go and figure out what you like and what you connect to and then make a decision from there. Kate, were you going to add something?
I was going to say, I agree with both Miranda and Marcus. On Miranda's point, again, I don't know how I got up at like 5 a.m. for high school. I had to get up at 5 this morning. And then what Marcus was saying, there is a vision too, like of what you want to do with your life. With high school, it's classes you have to take. So like you're not good at math, but you still got to take the trig to graduate. Once you get into some of your sophomore, your junior, your senior year classes, this is what you're interested in and entire levels of it. And like I said, going off into PT and everything, you're now seeing, you're working with patients, with shadowing and all that. and you're seeing people get better over the course of time, and they're grateful for it. And you're like, this is what I want to do. The vision of helping people in the end. So there is a vision, if that makes sense.
Well, let's talk about that vision a little bit. So you all are majoring in some pretty wide-ranging things. A couple of you have things that are similar. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to really be in the major that you're in, and maybe how it's different or the same than what you thought it would be when you first arrived on your campus.
I can start there. So I actually unlike what some other people have said, my academic experience in college has been very, very much harder than high school. I study pretty much all the time. Biochemistry is not very easy, and I pretty much am like in lab or class like all the time. Like I have like 4 or 5 hour labs. I have like all this stuff. So I'm very busy with school, but I think what I would say, and I was in a major that started off being like 180 people and now it's like 25. So they really try to weed you out if you're in like a major like chemistry, biochemistry. So that's one aspect. Your first class is always going to be like one of the hardest ones because they're trying to weed people out. So I would say that's something to look out for. And what I would also say is that at least all my exams, they're curved. So that helps out a lot. You might look at your first grade and be like, oh my God, how did I get that? But like, it'll be fine. So don't freak out like I did. And then also I would say the most important thing that I've found is get close with those people that are in the same classes as you and go through the same things as you, because I don't know how I'd have gotten through all my classes if I didn't become friends with the other biochem majors. I think I would have like lost my mind. So like become friends with the people in your classes. Know that if you think it's really hard right now, like if you really, really like what you're doing, you'll be able to like take the classes because you'll enjoy them and you'll do just fine. So don't freak out and drop out of a science major first semester freshman year. Trust me, it'll be okay.
As another bio major, I completely agree. There definitely are some weed out classes, but you will make it through it. It's okay. It's okay to retake a class. That happens to some people, a lot of people. But just keep pushing through. Don't be afraid to go up to your professors and ask for help, because chances are they're willing to help, especially if you go to small school too. They'll get to know you really well. And think about it. They have their degree in this, so they did it before. So chances are they'll be able to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Piggybacking off what Patti said, please, this may seem a little corny, but make friends. Like, they will save your butt sometimes. Not gonna lie. Like, as a CS major, I don't really do a lot of science. Maybe like once in a while, I'll like do like an actual like science that's not related or embedded in a computer. But one thing I do agree is that having friends and getting group sessions together or just like helping each other in homework, those are very critical in just helping you learn, especially because now you are surrounded by people who can help you and you can help them and you better learn the material. So highly recommend you make some friends that first year because it could help you for the next 3 after that year is over. It's helped me and it seems that it's helped people in biochem, which mad respect to people who do biochem, not gonna lie.
Christian, you
sorry.
can go.
I know you might agree, but I guess me, so my major is marketing and then I added a concentration in sales, but I would just say business in general. Being a business major, it's super important, obviously, to get good grades, do well in school, but I think it's more important to integrate that outside of the classroom and being able to find different groups, clubs, whether that's like finance club, sales club, marketing club, whatever it is, but more so internships. Internships are super, super vital and important, especially when it comes to the world of business. Of course, a degree is very important and grades are very important, but out of the 20, 30 some interviews I've ever had, I think 2 or 3 interviewers like asked about my GPA and like considered it, where they strictly looked at your resume and your experience and the things that you're doing. And in business, it's super important to be able to integrate what you learned in the classroom into a job or into an internship. And then taking that from what you learned from that experience and being able to add it to another job or a future job and experience as well. So.
Mary Beth, bring us home.
I was just gonna, and Christian totally agree. A lot of people from Vitor, like a lot of guys, a lot of girls, they're gonna be a business major. That's what they say. They walk around and everyone goes, I'm being completely honest, no one knows what that means. We're all business majors. And it's not like biochem or literature majors where we've taken those classes in high school. I know for me, I did not take any business classes in high school. So I was kind of like, what am I getting myself into? And I'd say the biggest takeaway is that your classes will be really important, but at the end of the day, a business major's big focus is networking, and it's going to be like an extra 3 credit hour class. I know for me, when I was in the heat of interviewing for the big 4 accounting firms, I was constantly on phone calls with people, because at the end of the day, it's really hard to teach what you're going to do in class to business majors sometimes. And so a lot of it is going to be you taking the initiative to set up phone calls and meetings with professors and business professionals in the world to actually be like, okay, what are you actually doing? So if you are a business major, just get used to networking and being very outgoing and setting up emails, because that's a lot of what I had to do.
So our alumni are experts at providing me these wonderful segues into our next questions. So Mary Beth talked about she didn't take a business class at St. Viator before becoming a business major. For the rest of you, were there any classes that you took while you were at St. Viator that you felt like really helped prepare you for what your major was going to be?
Fun fact, I learned how to code at Vitor, and that is something I still do to this day. Like, it is something that has drastically impacted how I look at the world and what I want to do. And it started in the Vitor computer lab, and I'm learning more and more every day. So yeah, just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean you can't start now or, take classes to investigate, To
piggyback off of that, I think computer skills right now are great in general. I mean, we're all on a computer right now. But when I walked into one of my first biology labs, we were sitting there and the professor's like, okay, open up Excel, start making this graph, da-da-da-da-da. And a lot of the kids actually looked around, they're like, we've never used Excel before. And me being blessed with the education Vitor's given me, I was able to work with it before and able to explain. But I would become familiar with Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Google Docs, anything like that. Do familiarize yourself with a computer in general.
Our students and their iPads are really great at that. That was the one wonderful thing of being a new community member, that their tech skills are quite amazing. I think
Notability was an app we had download when I went to Vitor. I still use it to this day.
Yeah, best app that I ever purchased, Notability, hands down.
For sure.
Best $5 I've ever spent on the App Store.
There we go. Take notes on Notability. I think you all have hit a lot on sort of the things around like your time management and your schedule and the way you really are in charge of your experience as being a big difference between your experience in high school and your experience in college. So I'm going to skip us ahead a little bit to ask if you all could go back in time. What is one thing you wish you would have done differently while you were a student at St. Viator that you think would have better prepared you for college?
So something that Vitor really lacks with is preparation for engineering, because they offer all the regular AP science classes, and it's great that they finally got Calc 3, but they really lack with some technical majors. So something that I wish I would have done is actually reached out to people who were engineers, so I could figure out what it was before I went into college as an engineering major. So going back to high school, I was super happy to have taken all the AP sciences, the hard math classes, but it would have been good to explore some interests outside. I got into reading during high school, and that's actually how I figured out economics, communication could all be up my alley. But it would have been great to, like Mary Beth said, embrace my inner business skills and reach out to some people to figure out what is engineering, what do people do with that degree, so you can work backwards. Because so often when we're looking at college or you're looking forward, you're like, I'm going to do this major and then I'll see what happens. Versus it'd be cool if you're like, I want to be in X profession. I have multiple routes to take. Which route can I take and how can I go to college to prepare me for that?
I would also just chime in too, really, I'll be brief about it, but they always, and it's definitely true, they always say go in undecided, like it's totally fine, but do be mindful that certain majors you need to hit the ground running, or, certain majors, or if you want to double major, like you want to be taking APs to kind of get those filler starter classes out of the way, not to scare anyone or anything like that. But it is good to, take your senior year and do that outside research. Cause I know for me, thankfully I was blessed with getting in that business fraternity first semester, because for my major and what I wanted to do, I'll be working in public accounting. Their interview season is second semester, sophomore year. So it's not your junior year, it's not your senior year. Like a lot of people in my profession, if they don't have their internship offer, like they're kind of out of luck. So just be mindful of when the interview seasons are, because as Christian said, especially for business majors, even engineering, or like even medical, making sure you're getting outside hours and volunteer, it is crucial that you do get that experience to be able to talk about your experience in interviews. So do be mindful of that.
And with those APs, like APs in high school are way easier than the college classes you take. So like calculus 1, 2, 3, you get all those done, all the science classes. Like it sucks. Like we took like 6 APs our senior year or something. It sucks, but like you got to do it so that your college career is so much easier. Like I'm graduating in 3 years from engineering, just because I was able to take all those APs and do well. So it's really important, like to study at the end of the year. Like I know it's prom season, you want to be going out enjoying it, but hunker down for those 2 weeks, because that will literally like pay you dividends for the rest of your college career.
Yeah, just going off of that, my biggest regret from Vitor is not taking AP physics, because physics was a disaster for me in college. So I would say any aspiring science majors, and for me, the APs don't even count. Like Notre Dame doesn't accept APs, but you need to have that knowledge. Like there was a lot of kids in my physics class that had taken AP physics and I was ridiculously behind. So anybody who's an aspiring science major, I can't emphasize enough, even if your college doesn't accept it. Because the reason why I didn't take it, I was like, oh, it's not worth it. Like Notre Dame doesn't accept it. I should have taken it. So like, even just for the knowledge, even if it doesn't count for credit.
I agree with Patti. As a bio major, I took AP bio it was my senior year. I took AP bio. And it was a dual credit through Loyola, and thank God Lewis took those credits. So it basically knocked out my entire freshman year's worth of bio classes, but it did give me a really good foundation of like, okay, here's things you should know going forward. Here's how to write a formal lab report before you even get there. So that first 2 weeks of like, oh, how to format a lab report, you need X, Y, and Z. It was done and it was up here. So I do recommend taking the AP classes. If they're offered, you can do it. Don't be scared of it. You got this.
Yeah.
AP will never be as hard as actual college classes. Like my first Calc class in college, he had a fail rate of 50% for Calc 1. The dude was a genius, but like his class was not easy. So I still highly recommend taking those AP courses when you can. And even if they don't transfer, still recommend take it.
One last quick word of advice is just in general, figuring out what you like to do, what you enjoy doing. There's not a lot of time to do that in high school because you're always working. But I didn't realize how passionate I was about the environment until like junior year of college. And so if I had figured that out sooner, then I could have been involved sooner and figuring out my path. Like sooner it would have paid dividends in the end. So just take a couple minutes each day to yourself. What do I enjoy doing? Do you like being with people, even just like general work settings? Do you like being with people? Do you like doing more office work, numbers, science, more creative? Just starting to think about that will help you in college.
Awesome. I want to acknowledge we do have a question in the chat. I'm going to save it for the end. And we're going to start to move on to think about having our alumni be a little bit nostalgic for a moment. What do you miss about St. Viator that our current students might not realize that they are going to miss as well?
For me, it's the community, 100%. Like the actual building in the school was nice, but like when you're like away, it feels like such a distant memory, but like a good memory. Like, yeah, that was fun, but I do end up missing the people like I went to high school with because I don't see them all the time. And like people I like saw every day, like teachers, coaches, and then like you'll see like, other people from the community come in, like to say hi, or like maybe go to like ceremonies or whatever. So for me, it's like I not that I don't see them every now and then, but I do miss them as for when I used to see them like on a daily basis. Now it's like maybe once in a while.
I would
I miss
agree.
playing sports. That's definitely. Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
I just was gonna say I miss playing sports. That's my number one thing. It's sad to not be like a part of a team anymore. I miss that like camaraderie a lot since obviously I wasn't athletic enough to play in college, and intramurals kind of make up for that, but they kind of don't because you're like not really playing for your school anymore. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would agree with both of them. The community aspect of, essentially being able to know everybody that goes to your school, everybody in your grade. I doubt anyone in college can say that about anyone, that they know their entire class. So definitely take advantage of, the people that you see every day, saying hi in the hallways and whatnot, and as well as like the different activities that Vitor offers. That being the musical, which was a really big part of my high school career at Vitor, and a lot of other people as well, but also competitive sports, like Patty said, is something I miss a lot. Just being a part of a team, and having that competitiveness that intramurals doesn't really cover. But it's also very fun cheering on the collegiate teams as well. So
I also miss sports. For me, I was on the swim team at Vitor, and in my entire life, I swam competitively for 9 years, almost 10. It was like 9.5. But yeah, no, I do miss that. It was great, and you're surrounded by the same girls, and those girls became family, and you were really close to each other physically and metaphorically. Um, but in general, I just miss it. In college, swimming is a part-time job. You don't get weekends anymore because you're constantly off at meets and practices are like 4 hours long. So I do miss it. It was a simpler time.
So a lot of you have talked about sort of transitioning from high school to college, and then once you've been in college, the transitions that you've gone through and figuring out workload and how to balance everything and get involved and develop into sort of this person you're becoming as a professional. And that can take your toll on you. Transitions are hard. So on a more serious vein, I'd really love if you can share with our current students and talk a little bit about how you manage your overall well-being, your mental health, your physical wellness. How do you take care of yourself in the midst of all of this change and transition and growth?
I could go on for hours on this one. The whole change thing, ever since I was a kid, like I've never handled change well. It's always just been consistency for me. And the whole going away to school thing was hard. And that's part of the reason I came back. It just wasn't for me. But because of that, I've learned to be more open to change and know that with change comes growth. And when one door closes, another one opens. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid of change. Change can be a good thing.
It also may seem like a lot, like it's like, oh my gosh, I'm at college. Look at all these classes. Look at all these things I have to do. I have to like spend how much on what assignment? Or it's just like, but the trick about college that I've learned is that with good planning, it can be easier than high school, just because you're able to spread things out, layer things, manage your time yourself, and you could get through it a lot better and a lot easier than you thought you would, just because you have everything planned out. And again, for me, what has kept me my mental health up is making friends. Those friends I made like freshman orientation, I've had with since all throughout my college days, and I'm glad I still keep in contact with them, because those people I've managed to talk through, especially throughout online learning. It's nice to have those through the hard times and through the difficult classes, because I don't think I would have made it through it without them. So I do want to mention that.
Yeah. Go.
Okay. Taking advantage of just the little moments you have with friends. Non-traditional piece of advice is early on, start a Google Doc that you can add to whenever about little memories that maybe as they happened, like you didn't get a chance to take a picture to capture it, little like quotes or phrases that were really funny, have like context and dates and names and stuff. And you'll have at the end of your 4 years, this long list that you can go back on and just like laugh exactly as hard as you did as the moment they were happening, to capture those memories long term. This might be some advice that has helped me.
Mary Beth?
Oh, I was just gonna say, don't stress out. I've had a couple semesters, first semester, the first 3 weeks of school, I wanted to transfer. I called my guy friends and my parents every day and sometimes twice a day. And like wouldn't buy spirit wear because I thought I was going to transfer. So I also, and then like sophomore year, I had a really hard second semester when I was, dealing a lot with applying for internships and juggling classes. So don't stress out if not every day is the best day. I think people say, and I would stress out, sometimes college is not going to be the best 4 years of your life, like everyone likes to say. And I would stress out so much about that if I was having a bad day or wasn't enjoying it. And I think it's totally fine, if these next 4 years are hard and you grow and change a lot. I know the person I was at the beginning of college and who I am now is very different. Coming from Vitor, when you spend every single day with people that believe in the same thing and have very similar morals, I know for me that took a large toll. And like junior year, I started putting a lot of more intentional time into my faith, because I think what people don't really realize is when you have religion class every day, or when you go to church forcefully once a month, or when you're at home and your parents make you don't realize how being in college and if you don't prioritize that, sometimes I know for me, like I felt kind of empty sometimes, or just felt a little bit lost when people were, doing different things that maybe aren't what I was used to. So as corny as it is, I think making sure you find something that spiritually feeds you, because it can get pretty lonely at times. Might not be the most traditional thing. It was something though that I took for granted at Vitor, and thankfully was able to prioritize later in college.
Another thing too, colleges, I know Norbert's and Lewis both offer it. With your tuition fee, you get free counseling. So if you need it, that's okay. Go ahead. It's fine. A lot of people go. So don't be afraid to use it. And honestly, they're great people that are there to help you. So good thing to know.
That's great advice. I think that, folks should know every college that you're going to go to has a counseling center, most have a health and wellness center or contracts with a health and wellness department so that you can go to the doctor if you're not feeling well. Recreation services, if working out is how you fill your cup, campus ministry, if that faith-based thing is how you fill your cup, you're going to find that connecting point. So we're butting up against the formal time for the questions we had prepared. And I want to make sure, to Mary Beth's point, that we can give our students a chance to network and, get to know the things that they really want to know. I'm going to plug all the way at the end, but I want to plug now because I'm the moderator and I can do that. If you liked this event, our Alumni Association is hosting a women's event on February 15th. So very similar format. Hopefully we will be able to have some folks in person. And then we are also hosting a career day on May 27th. So lots of opportunities in this new year to connect with alumni, to connect with folks in our community, so that you really can have that one-on-one time to maybe build a relationship with someone who's doing the thing that you want to do, or ask the questions that you've always wanted to ask, to find out if something is the right pathway for you. So very big thanks to all of our alumni who've joined us. We'll go back to the first question we got in our chat. And Mary Beth, I think this one was really related to some of the things you were sharing and how early your internship search process started. But can you all talk about, did your college help you find your internship, or did you have to find that on your own?
For me, it was my business fraternity that really did help. I do know other people though. There are career services that can be very beneficial. I will say organizations tied to your major are just way more concrete specific and have a lot outreach. So, I mean, especially with public accounting, it was just so specific, so helpful. So for me, it was my business organization that really did help.
I'd say don't wait until somebody helps you to get your internship. Like, you got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there, like start networking, start meeting people, start trying to figure out your own path. And like, there's a lot of resources. Like MB brings up the great points about clubs that are aligning with your major. Like, I joined our mechanical engineering society and I was able to make some great connections through that, but don't wait for somebody to help you, because it's almost too late. Like MB said, second semester, sophomore year for your basically your full-time job. That's pretty wild. So you got to get on the ball almost instantly, and it does feel overwhelming, but it's what everybody's going to do so they can ensure success after they graduate.
I would definitely agree. I would say that fortunately I got an internship my freshman year. That's not always the case with everybody, but it's not worth trying. At least going to career fairs, you might go to a career fair and they're not looking to hire freshmen or sophomores, but they might, and you never know. And if anything, it's worth going just for the experience, being able to talk to professionals, say hi, hello, this is what I'm into, this is what I'm looking for, this is my resume. They'll keep it on file, hopefully think of you in the future. But it's really on you as a person to be proactive in finding that internship, being able to not just apply for one thing that's going to stick, but applying to boatloads and thinking 8 of them are going to stick. And then that's on you, that you have the leverage to either negotiate, whether that's money, time, whatever it is, but being able to have that leverage to decide what you really want if you have more options to go from. And then later in your career, once you think you've kind of built that, that resume or what you think you're going for, do not be afraid to apply or reach out to the biggest companies or whatever you dream of working for or whatnot, because you never know when or who's going to reach back. So, and in the end, you have to do what's best for you. So
yeah. I'll extend Christian's advice that for those of you who are seniors, pack a professional outfit when you're packing up to head to college, because you have that on hand. Like Christian said, you might not get an internship in your freshman year, but it's a great opportunity to at least go to a career fair, put yourself out there, because you never know. All right, some questions from some students in the comments. How did you adjust during freshman year?
I think like one thing that kind of, when we had this question before, that like comes to my mind is that the first like couple months of freshman year are very hard. And I think like a lot of people like to try to tell you like, oh, college is this like really fun time, like everyone has such a good time. And I think like one of the things that made me struggle so much was like social media. And I know we're like all into that now. It's just like, especially the first couple of weeks when like people that you just met are like posting with these like boatloads of friends they appear to have. And you kind of are like sitting in your room, like, I don't have those friends. And like, you feel like left out. I would say like, honestly, if I could go back, I would like have shut down my social media for like the first semester of college. Like, it's just like best to just not know like how everyone else is, like, because they're not going to have those friends like in a couple months. Like they're like very like they meet them like the first couple weeks, and then it's like all those kind of things are like fizzle out. And like you don't need to feel like you are like left out or like anything like that. I would just say like don't put, so like I put way too much of my worth in like being like I'm not like all those other people that have all these friends. And I would say like don't do that. I think that would have made my adjustment a lot smoother if I wasn't so concerned about how much more fun everybody was having than me.
That's sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I would definitely just say like adjusting like freshman year, whether that is like actively looking to find friends and whatnot. One thing that I did, and a lot of colleges offer this, as soon as you're accepted into the college, see if there is a Facebook page for your class, which is a really great tool to find friends, meet new people. And most importantly, that's how I found my freshman year roommate. That, it's super corny and everybody makes a joke about it, but everybody posts like 3 or 4 pictures of themselves and go, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm into this, this, and this. I'm looking for this in college. Hit me up if you're looking for a roommate type of posts in these pages. But it's honestly a really great way to kind of get that ball rolling. After you graduate high school in that summer of looking and getting ready for the next step, and just realize that everybody is when you step foot on campus, realize that everybody is on the same page as you. Nobody knows each other, nobody, and like they're thinking and feeling the same way you are. And you could potentially, and I encourage you guys to be that person, to be the first one to reach out and even just say hi, hello to somebody, leave your door open in your dorm and encourage and welcome people, because some people might be too shy to say hello. So
To piggyback off of what both Patty and Christian said, there is like the very much college stereotype of like, oh, it's your first semester, you're going to do this and be parties and everything. Don't worry about it. Your college story is your college story, and you do what feels right. Don't feel the peer pressure to go out to parties. I didn't do it. I stayed home in the dorm, and it was quiet and it was nice. So you do whatever you're comfortable with. The roommate thing, actively look for a roommate. I was told to trust the system. Worst decision I ever made in college. I had the worst roommate freshman year. So do actively.
You unlucky with your roommate?
She was, but actively look for a roommate. Go, and then chances are you'll be very close with them. I know girls who they've had the same roommate for the same 3 years now. So do find someone.
As a former residence life staffer, both as an undergraduate student and a professional staff member, I will also say be honest on your housing questionnaire. If you are sloppy, own your sloppiness. If you need neat and tidy and quiet and all those things, live in that truth and space, because those are the kinds of things that they're gonna use to place you with. And so if you are a night owl, and your roommate is an early bird, and those two things do not mix, or if you are like Cheetos are my jam and I am not sharing them, be honest about that, because those are the things that are going to come out. All right.
That was part of the.
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say it's very important to feel comfortable in your living situation. That is super important. You need a place after a long day to come home, and if you don't feel comfortable in your home, in your bed, because you didn't actively look for a roommate or a good roommate or someone that you knew you would click with, and it's gonna be a long issue, I guess. So
That was the problem I had, is because what she filled out was different than what was actually happening. So I didn't have a space to come home to, like Christian said. It was rough.
Can be
But
tough.
yeah, do be honest.
All right. Other question from the comments: things you wish you did during your freshman year of college.
I think something not necessarily wish I did, but I wish I understood, was that my mom actually told me this. And of course, you never listen to your mom the first time around. You will be meeting people throughout your entire experience of college. And so you might not meet your best friend until your junior year. I know for me, the people that I thought were my friends freshman year, kind of like what Patty even said, they're acquaintances now. So I think just realizing, I know also for me at Vitor, the people that I ended up with being really super close with happened senior year. So just don't put just realize that, and don't stress out, and just kind of be friendly with everyone. You never know who you're going to end up with. And so just keeping lines of communications open, and always just kind of looking for friends. Don't feel like, okay, the people on your floor, okay, that's all you should hang out with. Always be open to people inviting you to places and doing different things.
Tutoring services, they're a thing. Use them. I started using them this past semester, and I'm kicking myself in the butt now. Use them. Chances are they're free. Mine were.
Another thing I wish I did my freshman year. I wish I took classes at community colleges. It took me an embarrassing amount of time to realize, I could take this class over the summer if I need to do so. because the college is like, no, stay here. But like, if you need to take a class, like to get a transfer, or if you want to like have a minor and a major, one of the smart things to do is like go to community colleges and see what classes you can take to help fill requirements if you change your mind halfway through college. Because for me, I wish I did that earlier.
So many classes are online now too. You can take them anywhere in the world. Something else I would say is that you don't have to be friends with your roommate. That's like the ideal of like, you need to come home to your best friend in the whole world. I had the best roommate ever. I went random. We didn't talk. We just liked each other. Like that's all we needed. It was nice to come home and not feel pressure to like have to go socialize with one more friend. And I also like, honestly, you got to start focusing on like your jobs and internships. It's really doable to land an internship after freshman year. My biggest thing, like I would have started in high school, is like getting on LinkedIn, which is a social platform, like real similar to like your Instagram, but all professional like, and just like looking out for jobs and opportunities and the people that are on that similar timeline.
Marcus, I appreciate that. I think my best friend I made my freshman year of college, we made a pact right away. We would never live together because we knew that that would destroy our friendship. And almost 20 years later, we are still best friends. And we know that when we go on vacation, we can't share a room. All right. Any other questions? We've got Marcus is a LinkedIn master. Maybe he'll come back and do a tutorial for us on how to best get all the bang for your non-existent buck out of LinkedIn.
I'm waiting on the invite. So,
all right, Crystal, take note. Okay. Any other final questions? If not, any final questions from our alumni, any final nuggets of wisdom, something you wish someone had told you when you attended this panel, when you were a junior or senior, or something you wish you had known?
I have to say one thing. It's crossing my mind after a couple questions, and it's going to be very contradictory to some of the advice that's been given. But if it feels right to wait, and if like your career path allows that, wait to do internships and whatnot. If that's right, I know for some of them you do have to like get the ground running very early on. But my parents have always been very generous, and they say that you have your entire life to work, and once you start working, you're not going to stop. So I didn't get my first internship until this past semester as a senior, and I still learned a lot, and it's still going to be something to put on my resume. But I would say, because I know if I was in your shoes as a high schooler right now, these panels are helpful, but sometimes stressful to hear all of the things that work for some people and don't work for others. So find what works for you. If you feel you need to get an internship or like know your career path right away, do that. If you have other priorities, in this day and age when things can be done online and you can learn skills yourself without being at a job, and then go further for a further long-term position. That's just my little word of advice to not stress you out as much.
I would also just, my final piece of advice, and the reason I'm saying this is because I'm leaving for study abroad in 2 weeks. Try as much as possible, if that's something you're comfortable with, plan ahead for that. Certain programs only offer so much, but you really discover a lot about yourself when you go abroad. It's what I've heard. I'll let you know when I come back, but I'll be going to the Netherlands in like less than 10 days. And that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't look into that freshman year. So if you can, I would do it.
I also wanted to add, I was just about to say that I'm about to leave for Dublin on Sunday, and I'm going to be there all semester. So that was just something we also had to figure that out really early on. You have to plan for it. You have to make sure that your schedule allows for it, that your major allows for it. So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure that that is a part of your college decision, whether it be your major, where you go, look at if they have study abroad programs, but definitely look ahead to that. More
on the mental health side, be unapologetically you. You are your harshest critic, and just don't worry about what other people think. Just do what makes you happy. And back on the work thing with the internships, do look at that early. Shout out to the corporate work study program back at Vitor. They helped me build a great resume before I even hit college. So if you have, most colleges have like a work study program situation where they can help you build a resume. That's another program. Do use it. They're great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Last
Mary's
question.
iPhone came in here with a fire question about if you took any summer programs offered as a high school student. Honestly, I took Purdue's. It was like a week-long engineering camp, and it was huge because it taught me the difference between all the different engineering disciplines. Then some leadership camps, and your summers as a high schooler are huge. So I definitely kind of look into like what you're interested in, and then trying to explore, find some camps that could align with that. And then like the general advice, I would say take all of your AP credits. It's a big thing at Purdue. Like they'll recommend that you retake a class. That's really stupid for you to retake a class because you just need to get out of it and you can get moving ahead. And also it might feel a little far away, but a lot of schools are starting to offer like 4+1 programs. You get your bachelor in 4 years and the master's 2 semesters afterwards. That's what I'm involved in right now. So I'll just get my master's as soon as I graduate, which is honestly huge because it saves you a whole year and you don't have to come back after you graduate. So just look into like what your next steps after college are too.
Awesome.
I agree that your summers in high school are very important. Like I said, corporate work study program. I got a job when I was 13, and that's when I started building my resume. My first summer before my freshman year of high school was a program through Vitor, Journeys, the road home. It's like a block down Northwest Highway. I started working in their corporate office and helping there. And then from there, I moved down to Barrington to Rose Packing Company. They do a lot of meat in Chicago area. And I was the assistant to the executive vice president. And let me tell you how good that looks on a resume going forward, like applying for business stuff. So it's just good to have. Utilize your summers, see where you can get into, and don't be afraid to ask because the worst they're going to do is say no,
Yeah, great. Wonderful advice from our esteemed young alumni. Many thanks to all of you. I know that this is a busy time for you as you're preparing to sort of figure out travel plans, back to school or abroad. We are so very lucky that you were able to find time to join us today. It's always great to welcome you back home. And so students, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free, email me, email Ms. Harris. Again, we have our women's event coming up on February 15th. We will be having a career day, May 27th. Naviance Blackbaud is going to be the place where you're going to find out about all these wonderful opportunities. We did record today's session, so Ms. Harris and I will work to make sure that that becomes available for anybody who needs it. Again, alumni, we are so appreciative of you. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you.